view.
That's the whole point. That's why. Oh, I love how you can see my garbage cans on YouTube. It's so nice. Oh yeah, it's such a beautiful. Yeah, the garbage cans really need to be in there.
I'm gonna watch on YouTube.
Because of the garbage cans. Hi guys. Just maybe like watch it without sound.
Yeah.
Hi Sammy. Hi guys. Hi Jason. Oh my god. So I'm doing the same thing I did yesterday. I'm live on both like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, which is a lot to take in. So if I don't answer your comments immediately, you feel free to resubmit if you have questions. I just looking at like 3 different chats, and there's currently a lot of me on the screen. I got notification for everything but TikTok. Yeah, TikTok loves to not notify people about my lives. Alexei is off the line. Oh yay! Like for how long is he on vacation? Hi Debbie. Also, hi Diane. Hi. Hi Rob. Hi Praxis. Hi John. Build Koch Studio. Hi. Hi Joe. Hi Simon. He's training people for a few weeks. That's awesome. I see I also have some updates. They're not nearly as positive as well, it depends. So one update is I preliminarily bought a ticket to Ukraine. Now I just need to fulfill Cindy's paperwork and get her a hi Armin, a dog a certificate a psychiatric service dog certification. So that's what I'm currently working on. And yesterday, well, actually, very early this morning / very late last night, I fucked up pretty badly, and we're gonna own up to it. I accidentally screwed up operational security almost for a unit because basically the fundraiser that I'm running has stalled significantly, and I was talking to someone from the unit, and I'm just like, and I really want to get to the goal so they could buy what they need. And I was talking to someone from the unit, and they had told me something about casualties, and I at 6 a.m, because I wasn't sleeping and wasn't thinking, basically posted a part of that conversation on Twitter explaining why it's so important to support the armed forces of Ukraine and support fundraisers, especially if they have to do with the military. And obviously, that's information that shouldn't be shared. So, and I've like actually never posted anything like that before, but I did, and it's my fault, and it doesn't matter that I was not. And what's my Twitter handle? All of my social media is literally the same. So whatever you see on your screen is the same. And if you are on Instagram or TikTok, you can find the rest of my social media and my podcasts in my link in bio. If you are on YouTube, then you are not that lucky, but I will include it there as well. Or if anyone needs, or if actually here, I'm gonna just put this link over here. Beacons.ai/Julia. That's the link where you can find all of my other social media. 1 second. I'm just going to pin that on YouTube in the comments. I actually don't remember how to pin these things. Pin message. There we go. So basically what ended up happening is I posted that. It wasn't supposed to be posted. Luckily, I was able to take that down quite shortly after, and hopefully it didn't. I mean, it, like all things considered, it turned out as good as it could have. But at the same time, that's just an important reminder for all of us to be very careful with what we post. On social media, especially when it comes to the armed forces of Ukraine. And even if we want to help, and if we think that something that we're doing is helping, always check with someone within the armed forces, if you should be if this is something that would actually help or harm, because sometimes the things that you think might help are actually harmful. But with that said, that mistake happened because I was very desperate in raising the rest of the money for the fundraiser. So let me tell you all what the fundraiser is about. Obviously, some of you know because you've been here every night and you're aware. But in the link in my bio, there is, if you are on TikTok, then in link in bio, there is an attachment called the fundraiser. You can go there. If you're on Instagram, there is a separate link that says donate here. And it's a fundraiser for 59th Separate Mechanized Brigade for an English speaking unit. You can find more information in the link in bio. And hi, Jens. And don't fill all second words with words. I don't know why. It's just because there's so many screens in front of me. Normally, I don't get nearly this like flustered. Okay, so this is a fundraiser for 59 separate mechanized brigade, and we've raised half of the amount. Well, actually, we've raised $4,000 now out of 6, and it's phenomenal and fantastic. I've sent $3,000 or 110,000 hryvnias to the unit, and I have posted receipts of that on Twitter, tagging the commander of the unit who uses Twitter quite avidly, as it turns out. And you can check the receipt there, and there is still $2,000 left to raise. Well, actually, today we received a $200 donation, so I will be including that in my tally that I keep on Twitter every few hours. So if you have the ability to, please donate to the fundraiser. Consider donating to it. It's very important. It is for a quad for which we have already raised money, for thermals, which is thermal underwear, which is something very important when you're at the front line in the winter, and for rations. Literally every dollar matters. I know that a lot of people don't donate because they think that sending $1 or $2 or $3 is not going to make any difference. If you think about it, in Ukrainian money, which is hryvnias, $1 is 36 to 37 hryvnias. So, if it makes you feel better, you're donating 37 hryvnias and it adds up. And if 100 people could donate $1 and decided not to because it's just $1, then that's $100 that isn't donated. And if you do decide to donate $1, then 100 other people might too. And then that adds up to $100. And I'll actually tell you from experience that most fundraisers don't fill up with large donations. Most fundraisers actually fill up with donations of $5 to $10 from multiple people. And those are very, very important. So if you have an ability to donate, $2, $3, $1, $5, $10, $15, however much you can, it's highly appreciated. The friend of mine that is in this regiment, who is in this unit, he actually was injured in the battlefield, and he is going to be treated at a hospital. So next time I talk to him, I would be very, very happy if I could tell him that the fundraiser has been closed and I have ordered the food and the dry rations and the thermals for them. So if you have the ability to donate on YouTube, there is a link. There is a link attached to in the comments on TikTok. If you want to donate, you can go to my profile, and there is beacons.ai/Julia, aka link in bio. And so if you go there is a separate attachment called fundraiser for 59th Brigade. And when you click on that, it'll bring you to a drop down of various different options through which you can donate. And you can do that through there. And I'll be very, very grateful. And if I see the donation come through while I'm live, I will announce it. And then on Twitter, you can see the tally, because I keep the tally, because I can't transfer money into the Monobank jar every day. I transfer money there when it gets up to like a larger amount, because there is a commission every single time. So I try not to waste transfers on smaller amounts, because then I just end up paying a commission every time, and it's pretty, like, the commission is static. Also, thank you, Rai. I just received the donation. So we just got a donation, and I do update the Twitter tally every day, though, after the live and during the day when I get donations, so it doesn't so you know where we currently are. I have been a little slower with updating in the past 2 days, but that's because donations have been much slower, so there wasn't much to update on. But yes, if any one of you wants to donate, you have all the resources to do so in my link in bio, and I will keep kind of reminding everyone new who comes in about this fundraiser throughout this news cycle. So we're going to do news about Ukraine. But before that, how is everyone doing? And also, Taz, that green button was really cool. I'm sorry, I did see it. I just couldn't react to it because I was in the middle of in the middle of speaking, and I've been doing so badly with these 3 screens with ums and ihs and stuff like that, because it's just, I feel like I stare and I try to read all of these comments, and I'm not used to doing a live on so many different devices at once anymore. So it'll take me a little while until I can actually do as decent of a job as I usually do on just one device. Trust me, it's really distracting when you look at like 3 screens and it's you on all of them and you read the comments too. And Gord, so good to know that you're doing well. Green button is already months old. That's cool. I had no idea. Hi, Ian. Thank you, Richard. Okay. Russia belongs to another civilization, but this is not a reason to refuse cooperation with it, is it not? Said Hungarian Prime Minister Orbán in an interview with Le Point. Russia belongs to a different form of civilization. Historically, politically, geographically, traditionally, it is a different country. The question is whether our differences are an excuse to not cooperate. My answer is no, if only because most of the world is different from Europe, Orbán said. Well, so here's the thing. He's trying to manipulate with his speeches because it's not really about the fact that Russia is different as a civilization. Clearly it is, because it's a genocidal, maniacal, terroristic country. But it's really not, the non-cooperation with Russia is not because it's different in traditions and culture, if you can call genocide a culture. It's because Russia has not abided by like, you don't really even have to partake in a particular world order to understand that that waging a war of genocide, completely disregarding all rules of war, carpet bombing cities, kidnapping children, re-educating children, filtrating people in occupied territories, lying, consistently threatening to nuke other countries, consistently threatening to erase Ukraine from the face of the planet, saying that, denying the existence of the very people that you came to rescue, that are clearly and majority fighting for you to leave, is really not a question of being from a different civilization or a different outlook. It's a question of Russia being a terrorist state that is currently waging a genocide. Also, hi Golby, welcome, and hi Cotton Dreadworth. Oh, that's a cool one. So the thing here that Orbán is saying is really just a manipulation. It's really not the truth, and it really has no merit. The merit is in the fact that Russia is a terrorist. You know, I actually saw a tweet the other day that I reacted to on Twitter as well, but I'm going to read to you because I find it so hilarious when people are trying to deny the genocide happening in Ukraine and then literally prove the exact point of genocide. So I am going to read this to you because here's the thing. Twitter is a cesspool of horrible information recently. And honestly, every time I go in there, I just try not to read the things that are happening because they're so discouraging. But that's the whole point. We're in one of the largest disinformation operations that Russia has ever done, that is meant to discourage Ukrainians from speaking out, meant to discourage Ukrainians from thinking we're going to win, and meant to discourage Ukrainians from fighting back, right? Russia can't take down our government. Russia can't take down Western governments. Russia can't win on the battlefield. But what Russia does know is that Ukraine is a democracy and Western countries are democracies where the power is with the people. So the people can take down their governments. And then Russia will not have to take these countries down on the battlefield because they're going to be in chaos. And that is the aim. But I just try to, despite that, kind of read through things and only react to things that really truly kind of matter. So, for instance, people have been trying to be very cheeky in defining genocide for Ukrainians to basically deny the the existence of genocide in Ukraine and just say that we are at war and we need to stop calling everything a genocide. But here, there is this girl who says you're not subjected to genocide, and the implication that you are is plain wrong by definition. You are at war. Genocide is systematic imprisonment and annihilation of an ethnic group. The goal of genocide is to kill all of them. If genocide was the goal, you'd be dead. So first of all, the goal is to kill all of them. Is it an attainable goal? Not always. Russia is trying to kill all of Ukrainians unless it can re-educate them into marching in line and saying that we're Russians and abiding by Russia's fascist policies. But that's not even the point here. So genocide is an annihilation of an ethnic group, right? So annihilation of Ukrainian books that Russia has been doing, schools that Russia has been bombing, museums, monuments, literary scholars, poets, writers, historians, all memorabilia that can show Ukraine's vast history as a nation is everything that Russia has been systematically destroying for over 100 years, right? Imprisonment. Oh, so like the kidnapping of Ukrainian children to Russia and changing of their identity, as well as quite literally punishing and filtrating them and for expressing any sort of Ukrainian identity and wanting to stay with their Ukrainian identity. Imprisonment and torture of people in occupied territories for speaking Ukrainian in their own country where they're occupied. The mass bombing and killing of all areas of Ukraine that Russia occupied. You mean that kind of annihilation and imprisonment that's systematic of an ethnic group? Because this has been happening to Ukraine for the past at least 300 to 400 years, if you start looking at the Russian Empire. And the fact that people disregard that or are not aware of that, are basically ignorant of that, does not make it not exist. And if you look at what Russia has been doing by stealing artifacts from museums from Ukraine that show Ukrainian historical heritage and putting them in museums in Russia, that is in fact annihilation, because they're trying to erase Ukraine's history. They're burning Ukrainian books. They're bombing Ukrainian schools, and you can see that they're targeting schools specifically. They're killing teachers of Ukrainian. They're killing people that have Ukrainian ideology. They're torturing and re-educating kids and teaching them to hate Ukraine and think Ukraine is a Nazi state. They're annihilating everything Ukrainian culture related. They're taking down monuments of Ukrainian, of people that are, sorry, you are wrong about Russia and Ukraine. Don't talk about what you have no idea. Robert, can I ask you for assistance with something for 1 second? Would you mind grabbing my passport from my room?
Your passport?
It's right next to my desk on that white thing at the top. I feel like I haven't done that in a while. And I understand, thank you. And I do understand that while I sound American, here is an interesting fact for all of those of you who didn't know. And wow, we're back where we started 2 years ago. I am Ukrainian, and my only citizenship is also Ukrainian. I do not have any other citizenship of any other country. So, yet, no, well, I mean, so here is a little passport cover with a Ukrainian flag that says home. It's very cute. I'm quite fond of it, but also my COVID vaccination card, but also, so even here you can see the little trident, in my passport, right? I'm not going to show you my passport because, well, no thanks. But, look, I have a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about. You know why? Because first of all, my country is not Ukrainia, contrary to popular troll belief. Maybe if you were going to say something, at least make sure you can spell the name of my country. You know, it says it right here. It's Ukraine. And that is my citizenship. I was born and raised there. My parents live there, you know. They never moved. I'm actually, in fact, the only person that lives abroad. And for your information, I am also going back to Ukraine and I want to take a combat medic course there. So, because I want to volunteer at a hospital likely and see if that's something I can feasibly do. Because obviously, I don't want to throw myself into something that I'm not prepared for because that's going to harm everybody around me. But yeah, here is the thing. I'm not American either. Well, you're not Ukrainian and you're not going through a genocide. So, respectfully, shut the fuck up. Bye. Anyways, so the definition of genocide is systematic annihilation and imprisonment of an ethnic group. And that is literally what's been happening to Ukraine for the past 400 years. If you were not aware, I have a video on my Twitter. Heroyam Slava, thank you. I have a video on my Twitter that explains just that. So I'm going to let you listen to it.
30 million. World War I between 1914 and 1921, especially taking focus on 1917 and 18, when the Bolsheviks decided to take independent Ukrainian People's Republic into the Soviet Union, around 2.6 million Ukrainians were killed. Artificial famine between 1921 and 1923, around 300,000 Ukrainians were killed. The Red Terror of 1929, 504,000 people were executed. Holodomor of 1932 to 1933, the largest known artificial famine in Ukraine, between 4 and 8 million people were starved to death. Large gap is due to different ways of counting applicable deaths. For instance, does a suicide due to starvation count? Do excessive murders of people who were looking for food count? Does liver failure due to starvation count? What counts other than pure starvation? The Executed Renaissance, aka the execution of Ukrainian literary elite, 30,000 people. Artificial famine of 1945 to 1948. My grandfather survived that. Around 750,000 people were starved to death. The sweeps in the 1930s. 2.2 million people were kidnapped, shipped off to gulags, disappeared without a trace, you name it. And all that for not abiding the regime. A union, huh? The deportation of Crimean Tatars from May 18th to May 20th of 1944, I want to point out, 2 days, resulted in deaths of over 190,000 Crimean Tatars.
That's
World War II, around
number.
14
The real
million
number is around
Ukrainians were
400,000.
sent off to the front as cannon fodder to fight for a country that literally colonized them. Others were also shipped to gulags, executed, you know, Russian style. The Red Terror of 1947 to 1953, around 203,000 people were murdered. The Russian invasion of eastern parts of Ukraine in 2014 resulted in 17,000 deaths. And the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, still counting. Mariupol alone is said to be at around 100,000 people. Please talk to me about.
So yeah, that is pretty systematic if you ask me, you know, it is and that's in the last 100 years. Hi, Kevin. So yeah, that's just 100 years and that's a profound amount of death. A profound amount of death. Hi, Giddy. Oh, also, Giddy, check your notifications on Patreon because I sent you a message and you will be very happy to find something out. I just had to let you know first before I let everyone know. So go check that. Sorry, no pressure. So yeah, so that's pretty systematic. If you ask me, if you ask anyone, that's pretty systematic. And I find it really funny. So that people will say things like, you are at war, not a genocide. Well, no, it's pretty one-sided. It's pretty one-sided killings. You know, we are defending our territory. We're not attacking anyone. It's not a war. It's a one-sided attack. And there is a clear attacker and a clear defender. And there is also the situation where clearly the attacker is thank you, DW. Clearly, the attacker is waging a genocide based on the specific things that this attacker is destroying and based on the history of this attacker and what they had done prior. So, yeah, No, it's not just a war. It's the annihilation of Ukrainian identity. Hi, Vasil.
Hi.
The annihilation of Ukrainian identity. Also, there was Sashko here. I don't know if he's still there, but for those of you who are on Instagram or who have a Twitter, SASHKO NYC, Sashko NYC, Sasha. He's an activist, and he has been organizing protests and demonstrations for Ukraine for a very long time now, since forever. And he's responsible for most of the rallies in New York City. And there is a rally at Times Square tomorrow at 3 p.m. And it's in support of the passage of the supplemental Ukraine aid bill. And look, I really want to talk about this because last time there were about 70 people that showed up to this demonstration, and obviously that's not enough. If you are in New York or you have the ability to get to Times Square tomorrow at 3 p.m., please do that. Please, please, please do that, because there used to be so many people who would show up to these demonstrations, and that's specifically what helps pass these bills. Right now, the ball is in our court, and we are in the US, and we can actually change something, and we can help those that are on the front lines, because we can help get aid to them. And it really does depend on us. So please show up to the rally at Times Square in support of the supplemental aid for Ukraine bill that's happening tomorrow on Times Square at 3 p.m. It's very, very important. So yeah. And also there was a question that I might have missed. So anyways, there was a question that I might have missed, and there is a troll that I might have missed, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So, someone asked what's going on with Avdiivka. So, I mean, there's quite a bit of operational security around the area because there are ongoing storms from Russia, and there are things that are that none of us can talk about. In fact, I talked about it earlier, but there were not that many people here, so I'm going to repeat myself. So I've been doing this for 2 years, and normally I am very, very careful about operational security, and I don't think so far I have done anything that any unit could deem as inappropriate, right? But I'm running a fundraiser for 59 separate mechanized brigade, which the links to that are in my bio, and they're pinned on YouTube. And they are to buy a quad, to buy thermals, and to buy rations for this unit. And we've raised $4,000 out of $6,000 necessary. And donations have stalled very, very much in the past couple of days. And I was talking to someone from the unit, and they let me know the number of casualties over a period of time. And while it's now deleted, and it's good that it's deleted, I posted that snippet of the conversation on Twitter to basically show people why it's so important to donate to the causes that are related to the armed forces, because you could prevent these deaths by giving these guys proper gear and proper things, right? This should never have been announced online, because it is actually a direct violation of operational security. And I did that at 6 a.m. I was pretty desperate to get this fundraiser going. And I own up to it. That's something that I did. So, and I thank God I was able to, they were able to reach out to me quickly, and I was able to take that down quickly, but that doesn't negate the fact that I fucked up and I made a mistake. And that mistake could have cost a life, or that mistake could have cost, operational success. As in not caused cost. So when you post something about the armed forces of Ukraine, or literally virtually any armed forces ever, and you feel like you're doing that and that might help, always make sure that you verify that with the armed forces first, because you might think that you are helping, or you might not think, really, and it might not seem like anything to you. but it might really harm a unit or a brigade or a regiment or, or an operation. So just please be careful and be mindful and make sure that you always make sure. And it was quite a big blow to take, because I feel like, if something happens now, I'll be responsible for it, and I'll really never quite I'm never gonna quite live that down to myself. And after like 2 years of doing this, I should have known better, and I feel like I always do, and I always try my best. But it's just, things do happen. But again, just check and verify many, many, many times before you post anything that might be questionable, or it might not be questionable to you, because there is always a chance that it could harm an operation. Yeah, and also if you are talking about anything that is related to operations, even if you are speculating about what's going on in various areas of the front. So for instance, someone asked me what's going on in Avdiivka, right? So no one in their right mind is going to actually give you a good breakdown of what's going on in Avdiivka or speculate on it, because it's an ongoing operation, and it is obvious. Like we know that Russia is storming that area, and we know that it's a very, very intense, important area of the front at the moment, right? Not that all of the front is important, but right now there is a lot of action happening there. So literally any like blogger, YouTuber, analyst, whatever, who is sitting there and telling you about specific movements of troops and what's happening in that area is harming the operations that are happening in that area. When there is so much action happening in a specific part of the front line, what you don't want to do is you don't want to sit there and speculate on what's happening and why it's happening and give your like super educated guesses, because they might actually be good guesses, but you shouldn't be voicing them to a large audience of people, to a small audience of people, to any audience of people while these operations are ongoing, which is why usually you shouldn't be talking about particular things for I don't know, days and days after they had happened. And you should be making sure that they have been posted by official sources. I know everybody wants to be first. I know everybody wants followers, and everybody wants like people to be like, oh my gosh, that guy or that girl was right? That's not something, because it's not about followers. It's about bringing people quality information and getting people to understand what's actually happening on the ground. But it's also about not harming these operations. And when you do speculate in these things, especially if you're an amateur, right? Not only are you like giving information that is misleading, but you are also giving ideas and information that are spreading that are not verified, and that might not and should not, and in a lot of cases should not be available to the public for a period of time. So don't do that. And when someone asks what's going on in Avdiivka, well, heavy fighting is going on in Avdiivka. And that's all that you should know at the moment, right? There's operations ongoing in that direction, and there is a lot of heavy fighting. It's an intense area of the front line at the moment. That's about it. And like, while I have a lot of respect for the ISW, they very often jump the gun on things. And I don't mean jump the gun on like their assessment. I mean jump the gun on posting their assessment, because they very often do it too early. I would recommend that if you want to get quality information, you should follow Deep State. Deep State is a platform where soldiers that are at the front can directly contribute information. So not only is it highly verified, but also it comes at a pace at which it's reasonable, because every unit knows what to post and what you can and cannot talk about at a given time. So yeah, that's something that's a very good source. I just bought $75 million boats. Well, congratulations. You could have used that money to, solve so many world issues, but instead you decided to buy a boat. I'm fully aware that you likely didn't do that, anonymous stranger on TikTok. But at the same time, if you did have $75 million, there's so many more things that you could, invest in. Zelensky just bought a $75 million boat. Yes, that's exactly what he did. He bought a $75 million boat, a castle, and then he also just received an American citizenship, all according to Russian propaganda, if you haven't heard yet. In fact, Zelensky, his trip to Argentina to be at the inauguration of the new Argentinian president, in fact, is not a trip to Argentina. The man decided to move to the United States and is being evacuated from Ukraine, okay? Abandoning the country and moving to the USA. And there is even a fantastically photoshopped picture of his newly produced American passport there. It's so nice. Have you heard, Robbie?
No.
Oh, Zelensky's moving to the United States. Biden fast-tracked his citizenship instead of going to Argentina for the inauguration of what's his name?
The crazy guy.
The crazy guy, yes, sorry, I forgot his name. He is actually moving to the United States with his new citizenship, and you can even find the photo of his passport online.
Oh my God.
I know,
this
right?
This is why we need a strong border policy.
I know.
To protect us from
We're
people
kidding.
like Vogel and Brazil.
Yes, exactly. It's like this is and I bet you he's gonna smuggle himself in through Mexico border.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Just specifically to rub it
Not
in
through Canada,
to the
where
Putin
9/11
caucus
terrorists came from. No, from Mexico.
from Mexico.
Yeah. Of course.
And
Por
that's
supuesto.
and they're gonna do that through Mexico specifically so he can. Oh, hi from Argentina. Hello,
Hola.
from Argentina. That much I know. That's all. I know how to pronounce Argentina, and that's about it.
Que no llores por mi Argentina.
Okay, good for you. Show off. But anyways, point is that he's gonna do that through the Mexican border specifically to rub it into the Putin caucus. Yeah. Malcontent's daily sitrep, accurate and within guidelines of Ukrainian MOD. I will not be advertising Malcontent's daily sitrep on this channel, and I have a plentitude of reasons to do that. I'm not going to talk shit about Malcontent either, but I will say that no, it's not within the guidelines of the MOD, and there is a lot of speculation and there is a lot of unverified information that is being basically it doesn't matter. The point is I will not endorse that sitrep, but I'm also not going to talk badly about it. So if you want to recommend Malcontent's sitrep on my channel, I am not going to do that because in fact I know, because I used to volunteer for Malcontent and for his channel, for his podcast. So I used to I used to be part of that, and I quit or left because of a plentitude of things that I did not agree with and that I found to be enormous red flags. That's that. I can't find the computer charger. How do you feel about null reports on Twitter? I don't know who that is, actually. I don't necessarily
Not accurate.
Not accurate?
I would follow.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you give an explanation as to why? Let me have Robert, because Robert is my colleague. We both we do Ukraine War Brief podcast, and he actually is the analytical side of it. In a lot of ways, I do most political stuff. Rob does a lot of military analysis. So does Grumpy. He's actually a moderator on this channel, and they work closely together. And starting next week, Aiden Aslan, better known as Cossack Gundy, is going to be my semi-co-host. So he's going to be giving his commentary from the front section, and we're going to be he's going to be giving his commentary, and he's fantastic. He's a former Ukrainian Marine. He's English. He was in Mariupol, and he wasn't in Azovstal. He was in Mariupol though, and he was in Russian captivity for a while. He wrote a book about what he's endured a little while ago, and he's fantastic. We've been in touch, and we've been kind of friends for a little while, and I had offered him to come on the podcast and help us out with the From the Front section, and he had agreed. So we're going to be introducing him on the podcast likely this week. Depends, because he's going on a journalistic mission to the front this weekend, so he might not be able to do that before he comes back. But after that, he's going to be a part of the podcast, and yeah, I'm quite excited about that. But so Rob actually follows a lot of Twitter people who give information, so I'll let him explain why he thinks these reports are not reliable. In the meanwhile, I'm going to go look for the computer thing.
Thanks, Yulia. So
Yeah.
the problem with, I think it's Max 23 and Noel reports, they're not on the ground in Ukraine. There are a lot of like OSINT, I call them OSINT bros, that are on Twitter. They're on these different platforms, and they just repost information that's not verified. They don't have contacts that are on the ground, and I would use extreme skepticism. There are a couple of people on Twitter that are really good. One is Constantine, and the other is, I can put it in the comments, and the other is Tataragami UA. They're both Ukrainians, and they both provide really good information. So I would follow those two folks.
And if you want to know good information about airstrikes, like verified information about airstrikes, so as you know, the GSAFU posts a report every day. So there is also a report from the Air Force of Ukraine that tells you a lot about airstrikes. If you want to know about airstrikes as they're happening, you should follow Monitor on Telegram. It's like a green radar logo, and they basically let you know about current airstrikes happening all over the country. And stuff like that, like air raids, airstrikes, they tell you where they're coming from and stuff like that. So these are good. There is also, there are quite a few channels like that, but I would really only talk, I would really only take seriously the reports of people who have a vast network of people on the ground. And by that, I mean, do verify that they actually do have that network of people on the ground. Because there are a lot of people who say that they have sources on the ground and they're very coy about their sources. You have never seen or heard their sources or anything like that. And they just say that those are the sources. You do need to have people that you know, in fact, do have sources. And obviously, no one's going to be like publishing their source there, but make sure those people have been on the ground in Ukraine. Make sure those people, like ISW clearly has a huge network of sources. It's a very funded organization. They have a lot of resources in general. For instance, people that have never been to Ukraine that claim to have this like vast OSINT network. I mean, you have guys that are sitting at a computer that are pretending to be analysts. And that's your network. Most analysts that do work for OSINT groups, they work for reputable OSINT groups that are the actual analysts that have experience and that have reasonable knowledge and have expertise in that. They work for reputable groups. And then the people that are not OSINT analysts but are actual battlefield analysts, they work for places like ISW. And yes, sure, there are small indie places that do have pretty good analytical teams, but so someone asked how Rob got involved with work with Ukraine. So Rob has always had very cold feelings towards Russia, and he has been following the invasion of Ukraine since 2014 pretty closely, and much more closely, obviously, when the full-scale invasion happened in 2022. And both of us volunteered for Malcontent podcast, or Malcontent News, shall I say, until we found out a lot of very, very shady stuff that was happening there. And I will say that my personal experience that made me quit, which I don't think, or made me just completely lose a lot of sort of like, there was a lot more than that, but I will only speak on my personal experience. That was like the last straw for me. The last straw for me was when I was introduced to an analyst who turned out to have absolutely no professional analytical background of any sort. And upon looking him up, it turns out that he was a grocery bagger at somewhere in New Zealand, which there is nothing wrong with being a grocery bagger. The point is that you cannot be presented as a professional analyst, our team of professional analysts, when you have no background or education in it. You're an online sleuth. That's what you are. An online sleuth, while could be effective, cannot be misrepresented as a professional analyst. And when the Kakhovka Dam explosion happened, and Malcontent News jumped the gun and said that it was likely Ukraine's fault or a missile strike from HIMARS, while it was actually a collapse of the dam because Russia mined it, and it has been vastly proven. What ended up happening is I was talking to this analyst who was trying to convince me that it could, in fact, be a HIMARS strike, and I was asking him for reasons why he thinks that, which he couldn't provide me with legitimate reasoning other than just his opinion, and getting annoyed at me. And I told him that I was talking to a dam engineer, as in like a professional dam engineer, right? And I asked him what could cause a collapse of the dam. I interviewed him. I actually put it out on FAQU Ukraine Explained podcast with Svidomi Media. And that interview is there to this day. And he went through all of the possible scenarios. Literally all of the possible scenarios of why this dam could not have been hit by HIMARS. And this guy said, what does a dam engineer have to do with understanding how missiles work? And dam engineers actually have a lot to do with that, because when they build dams, they do need to understand every single possible scenario of how this dam might collapse. So they do know what it would take to collapse a dam. And the fact that, and I was trying to explain that to him too, and he just wouldn't get it. And the fact that this guy did not understand how dams work and what a dam engineer is and what their expertise is in a structure of a dam was mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. And when I confronted David about that, he said that that basically, yeah, this guy was out of line, but he just gets like that sometimes. Okay. Cool, I suppose. So a lot of this information is just lucky guesses, and it's not actually verified. And for me, I quit, but I still followed David, and I still had a pretty decent opinion of him, other than I just did not agree with his reporting. But then they brought in the new host of Malcontent, who is a Russian woman who lives in Ukraine. And she has education from the St. Petersburg University, where Putin went, and she has education specifically in English. And she received that in the USSR, which is a faculty in which they train you in brainwashing and propaganda. So even if she seems on the outside to be helping Ukraine and doing all of these things, to me, that's a red flag. And I feel like putting a Russian, no matter how good they seem, on a podcast about Ukraine is just wrong, because there are many Ukrainians who could do that. So for me, that was it. And I stopped engaging. I stopped following, because to me, that seems like it's just kind of a slap in the face in that way, because this is exactly what I've talked about this entire time, where let Ukrainians express our voices, and letting Russians talk over us, even if it's Russian opinions on what is happening in Ukraine, or Russians reporting on what is happening in Ukraine, or Russians talking about Ukraine, or whatever. It is the colonizer's voice taking over our voice. So that's not it. And for me, that was just something that I personally couldn't accept, because I feel very strongly about Russians talking about Ukraine, no matter how good they seem, because Russians have never gone through what we have gone, no matter whether they're from the USSR or from whatever. and them speaking on our behalf, even if it's like Russians uplifting Ukrainian voices. Why don't you just give that to Ukrainians? You know, I don't like, I'm sorry, but I was, and for me, it was actually very painful because I was incredibly disappointed, and it happened so long ago, and I've never actually spoken out on this, but I feel like I keep seeing all of these things. And for me at this point, it's just the fact that there is a lot of misrepresentation. And in fact, when this misrepresentation was being pointed out, the person who was trying to show that misrepresentation was basically hounded by Malcontent News, by this like massive defamation Patreon post. And that person to this day is being like hounded by Malcontent patrons who are like devout, and like just is being like bad-mouthed and like spoken about as if like they did something wrong. And like, and the way that it was framed was like, you know, Malcontent basically pretending like it was about like, you know, oh, he just didn't want to be wrong talked, but in reality, and like this post was like so manipulatively crafted that like he knew that people would go after this person. But the post was written in a way where if you are not like emotionally intelligent, you'd be like, oh my gosh, he's such a good guy. So for me, all of that was just like a massive red flag, and I removed myself completely, blocked everything everywhere, and never truly want to hear from that person again. That's just all. But and you know, like, I'm sorry that I went off on this tangent. I actually never planned on doing that because I really don't like getting myself into online scandals or commenting on things like that. But for me, the point here is that if someone recommends Malcontent News on my channel, what I'm going to say is that there is a lot of misleading information that leads you to believe that there is a team of professional analysts. Meanwhile, these are amateur online sleuths that don't particularly know what they're talking about. And a lot of this reporting is guesswork that to date has been pretty accurate as a sort of like chance, lucky. It's been lucky. But in reality, there is a lot of guesswork, a lot of jumping the gun, and no, there is a lot of OPSEC violations despite it being said that there aren't any. And in my opinion, if someone starts their reporting with saying, oh, last time I was right about this, every single episode, just to point out how good they're doing, they're not doing it because they want to bring you information. They're doing that to like put in credibility. So that's my personal opinion on this situation. And again, I'm sorry for going off on the tangent, but it's just like I really don't want anybody endorsing that, nor do I endorse it myself. And that's about it. So yeah. Wow, I completely went off on a tangent, and I also forgot. There was another conclusion there, and yeah. And anyways, I think there was a question that I was going to answer, but I kind of forgot. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, point is, you know, be sure to, sorry, yes, I am breathing. I'm just like, I'm just very passionate about the subject, but be sure to make sure that the people you're following that give you information about Ukraine actually have been on the ground, are on the ground, have a vast network of Ukrainians living in Ukraine, and are not, you know, and are not just trying to profiteer off the cause, because a lot of people are, and a lot of people are not qualified to talk about Ukraine. Someone asked me, are you a military analyst? I'm not, and I'm not trying to present myself as such. I'm a political commentator, and I'm a UX designer by trade. That's what I was educated in. I have a degree in psychology. I am Ukrainian, born and raised. That's my citizenship. I've lived in Ukraine half of my life until I was 17 years old, contrary to what it might sound like, because I have a pretty ambiguous American accent. I moved to the United States when I was 17 years old. My parents live in Ukraine. My grandparents live in Ukraine. All of my classmates, everyone lives in Ukraine. I've always been connected to Ukraine because, well, hey, my entire family lives there and I was the only person who lived abroad. I am going back to Ukraine in about 3 weeks and I am hoping to take a combat medic course there. I'm planning on staying with my family for as long as I can without violating the rules of my green card. Basically, right now, I'm trying to, I think that I'm more useful on the ground than I am here. I've been doing reporting on the situation for the past 2 years. What makes me qualified? Well, I am not, I think that it depends on, I'm not saying I'm the most qualified person to talk about the situation. What I really do is I share my perspective as a Ukrainian on certain things that might not be apparent to someone who is not, and someone who is not, who has not gone through these things or followed Ukrainian politics since they were born. I also explain certain political things about Ukraine that are different. I am a history nerd and also geopolitics nerd, so I have a lot of knowledge of that, and that's what I've been sharing in my 2-year reporting career on social media. I also have a podcast called Ukraine War Brief. I work with United 24 with their segment called Ukraine Briefly. I also never try to misrepresent myself as something I am not. And after a while of doing this, in social media, me and Robert decided to create a media company so we could actually expand our work. And we created this podcast. I also host a podcast with Svidomi Media. It's a Ukrainian media publication that I recommend to everyone. It's SVIDOMI Media. They're both English and Ukrainian speaking. They're fantastic, and they do a very, very good job in their reporting. Actually, probably my favorite English-speaking media in Ukraine. And with this podcast, we have been able to go ahead and interview a lot of actual experts on topics that we talk about and insert those snippets of interviews into our reporting on the podcast. We also do not claim to be military analysts, although we do provide opinions. We do have a lot of people on the ground based on just the fact that, I grew up in Ukraine and a lot of people that I know serve in the military. So I do have that advantage, and we do our reporting politically based on talking to politicians, talking to MPs, talking to people that are scholars in Ukraine, and we try our best to bring quality information. And for me, it's not really about me and whether people think I'm right. I don't care if people think I'm right. I don't care to prove myself right. My responsibility here that I feel as a Ukrainian citizen is to tell people what's actually happening and hope that they will listen. And for me, I don't think that it's I have to be right. For me, it's I'm trying to talk and be heard from a perspective of someone who cares about this country because it's their country and it's their citizenship. And I don't believe that a lot of the problem that I see is that there are a lot of people online who have never been to Ukraine or have been for a week or two or even a month. And they start these channels talking about how they are so proficient in understanding the situation, and they're not. Because I appreciate a lot of foreigners talking about Ukraine. It's necessary and it's so good. And I could never ask for more. But these foreigners misrepresent themselves as experts on Ukraine, and they aren't. They aren't. Reading a bunch of articles doesn't make you an expert on Ukraine. And the reason why I started doing this is because I have an advantage of being a pretty much native English speaker, and an advantage of being very fluent and being able to express what I think both in Ukrainian and English, just like as on par with each other. And so having that ability and being able to talk about these things, knowing geopolitics and history and understanding the intricacies of Ukrainian identity, culture, and things that have been happening, I feel like it would be a waste not to try and use that. So that's why I've been doing this. But am I a military analyst? No. Do I have access to military analysis? Yes. I grew up in Ukraine, and I know quite a few people, and I try to use those connections in order to bring people the most like reasonable information. And that's that. But do I want to sit here and talk about how I'm such a cool person with all of these like connections on the ground and all that stuff? No, because it's not about that. My main goal is to fundraise for the armed forces of Ukraine so they can have an easier time destroying our enemy on the battlefield, and to bring people as quality of information as I can, which leads me to, again, reminding you guys that if you're on TikTok and Instagram, you can go to my link in bio, and there is a fundraiser for 59th Separate Mechanized Brigade, Chosen Company, which is an English-speaking unit. And we are fundraising $6,000, of which $4,200 we have already raised, in order to buy a quad for that unit for reconnaissance, thermals, and food rations. It's incredibly cold in Ukraine right now, and the trenches are really, 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 really cold. So they do need thermals, and they do need on-the-go nutritious meals, because if you've ever seen what soldiers eat, they basically drink protein shakes all the time, and that is not good, especially with the amount of physical labor that they have to do every day, and the stress on their bodies. So with Christmas around the corner and all of these holidays, I felt like we could probably raise the necessary amount to fulfill all of these needs. The fundraiser has stalled in the past couple of days. So if you guys have an ability to donate to it, there is a link in my bio. If you are on YouTube, it's pinned. It's pinned in the comments. If you are on TikTok or Instagram, that it's in link in bio. And it is a very important cause, and someone who is very important to me serves in that unit, and they have been injured recently, so they are going to be, hospitalized for quite a while in rehabilitation. So I would really like to close that fundraiser and raise the necessary amount by the time that they get transported to the hospital, because they're the type of person who leaves rehab 10 days early to go back and have their units back, and they're a foreigner who volunteered to serve in the armed forces of Ukraine, and they're not Legion. And to me, I obviously have profound respect and profound gratitude to everybody who serves in the armed forces of Ukraine and keeps us all safe. But I have a special amount of profound gratitude and respect for those who are not Ukrainian, who decide to dedicate their life to helping us protect ourselves from literal evil. And I just want the unit to be able to have the things they need. And I just really want my friend to be, happy and secure in the fact that if they need something while he's recovering, we can provide that for them. So yeah, if you have an ability to donate, please do. I saw an email come through, so I think someone might have donated. So let me check that. I usually try to announce donations on live, first of all, because thank you to everybody who does that. And second of all, because it helps. So we did get a donation. Thank you very much. I know that the person who did donate doesn't like their name to be announced, so I'm just going to say we have about, with the donations today. Oh, I'm actually quite confused at this. We've raised $25 on this live. So if anybody else has $1, $2, $5, $7, $10, $20, $50, however much you can to donate, every dollar counts, and you can do that in the link in bio. And so far we are at $25 that we've raised today. And we are at $4,235 altogether. Robbie, if you can write that down, because $4,235 altogether. Thank you. All right, we'll get back to the news. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk, and please verify your sources. And we actually on the podcast on Ukraine War Brief, we do very often mention sources that we do trust, and we are not like people who keep our sources to ourselves, because the more people know good sources, the better it is. And so yeah, give it a listen, give it a whirl. We try our best to bring you the best quality news. Oh, thank you so much. We raised $125 on the live today. I don't know if the person wants their name to be announced, but I will announce their note because it's very sweet, and it says, "Merry Christmas from a fella." Thank you. Which is NAFO support, you know. There are some very good NAFO people. All right. If there are any other donations coming in through the live, I will be announcing them. And, you guys show some thanks if you can or want in the comments for the people who do that. Because, thank you for having our back. And, just, maybe like a round of applause. Okay. Ukraine is preparing brigades for a new offensive and defensive operations, RBC Ukraine, with reference to Kuleba's statement in an interview with the Wall Street Journal. He's convinced that any pause in hostilities now will simply give the Russian occupiers a chance to regroup and prepare for new active military campaigns against Ukraine. The only result will be that Russia will get rid of the losses and problems it faced in Ukraine and start a new offensive, Kuleba said. And he's right. That's the thing. Like right now is one of them. And like I try to re-emphasize this every live. Right now is one of the most important times to pull through for Ukraine, not pull back, because you can see Russia's desperation and you can see them losing. And because they're losing, they are trying so hard to screw up the information space, and they're trying so hard to make you go against your governments, and they're trying so hard to get the support away from Ukraine. They're trying so hard to mobilize their supporting forces in different countries to delay the delivery of aid to Ukraine, to hold trucks at the border, to meddle with politics worldwide, to create conflicts that are distractionary and stuff like that. And so right now, and they're doing that because they know they're losing on the battlefield, and we need to take advantage of that, not pull back, because losing is not lost. And don't say I jumped before you complete the jump, because you don't know if you're going to land well. Also, we just got another 2 donations. So we have, maybe more. What? Oh yeah. Wow. Look at that. So we raised 125, 225, 230, and then 265.27. And, people are asking not to announce their names, so I'm not gonna do that. But
So is it 4,730?
oh, well, just write down that after the amount I told you, there was another $240.27. I mean, I'll recalculate everything with like more. Oh wait, there might be something else. Plus another $35.27. To hell with Muscovites. Oh my God. Plus another 35.27, Rob. Yeah.
So 4,510.
Oh, $4,510 is what we raised so far. You guys, oh my God, look at you. Seriously, thank you so much. I was promised that once the quad is purchased, because I did so, the fundraiser is $6,000 in total, but because we've raised the quad part of it is 3,000, and I have transferred the $3,000, aka 110,000 hryvnias, to the unit yesterday, and I've been promised that they will take a shiny, fantastic picture with the quad, which I was like, it's okay, you know, the receipt for the purchase of the quad is enough, just so I can put it forth on Twitter and on social media, so I can, you know, show that this actually did happen. Also, I felt so funny because like, I like to be very transparent with the donations, right? And yesterday I posted on Twitter that I have sent the 110,000 hryvnias to the unit, but I realized that I cannot put the name of the person who's receiving it. I cannot put their bank account. I cannot put anything identifying in that thing. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I tagged the commander of the brigade, who's very publicly the commander of the brigade, in the post to be like, hey, look, this is the screenshot of the transfer, but I know it doesn't give you much, but here's the commander that I tagged here, so you know that he knows that this has happened. And he's very active on Twitter too, so like you can see that this is not some sort of a weird whatever, because I felt like it was such a weird, you know, it was such a like bare minimum screenshot, but I can't, you know, I can't do anything more because I'm not going to dox the person. So I was just like, okay, well, what's a better way to show that it's real, right? I was like, oh wait, commander is on Twitter, let me tag them. So that's what I did. Oh my gosh, Rob, plus another 590 and plus another 50. Merry Christmas to you all. And you guys, for those of you who donate amounts that seem smaller, they're not small. For instance, $1 in Ukraine is 37 hryvnias. So if you donated $5, you donated 100 something hryvnias. So, you know, 150-ish hryvnias, which is not small. You can buy quite a few things with that. So, and when I always want to make sure to say that every donation is not, it's not small. It's not too little. Every donation is a lot. And we appreciate every single donation because those mean, you know, those bring us closer to the goal, and those mean the world. And it's really the fact that you care and that you are helping and that you are doing everything you can. And it's phenomenal. And thank you so very much. Also, we just got another $35 donation.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, and there was a $13 donation earlier that I forgot to count into the amount.
4,615.
4,615. Woo, out of 6,000. We're like 1,300 something dollars away.
We're like
from
75% there.
Yeah, we're 75% there. Oh my gosh. So yeah, please don't ever feel bad or apologize for donating the amount that you donated, because first of all, we do know that everyone has different opportunities. And especially if you donate like $5 or $10, and that was something that you had to make a choice to do, that has so much value, because you know you donated that to a Ukrainian cause, and we appreciate that immensely. And there is never an amount that's too small or an amount that is insignificant. It's all very significant, and especially when it comes from the heart and when you really want to help. And the fact that you did it to begin with means a lot. A lot. So thank you. Okay, I'm going to get all sappy here. So, according to a Pew Research Center survey, nearly half of the Americans polled expressed a desire to maintain aid to Ukraine, while about 1/3 believed that the level of support provided to Ukraine is excessive, which is actually quite a funny statement to anyone who does follow everything that's going on in Ukraine, because first of all, the amount of aid that's being announced to Ukraine never actually reaches Ukraine. It's about 30% of aid announced that actually makes it to Ukraine. The rest of it turns out to be in not workable condition. The time frame for delivery is moved months and months away, sometimes to the next year. So Ukraine is not actually getting all the aid that is announced. And also, most of the aid that's announced is, for instance, in the United States, stays in the United States. Something like 90% of the money announced goes to factories in the United States to employ workers and produce ammo and produce things like that. So in reality, these massive amounts of money that you are hearing are actually mostly staying in the US. And it's very old gear that is being sent to Ukraine, and new gear is being produced for the United States. So this is a very, it's like a perception game, sort of. I think we just got another donation. Let me see. Yes! Oh my gosh, Heroyam Slava. $20 more.
Nice.
Thank you, Robbie, for keeping a tally. I really do appreciate that.
You're welcome.
The breakdown of opinions revealed that 31% of respondents felt that the USA is offering too much assistance to Ukraine in its conflict with Russia, while 29% considered the aid provided to be adequate. Additionally, 18% expressed a preference for increasing the level of support. How do I donate? If you are on TikTok or Instagram, you can go to the link in my bio, and there are like so many different ways to donate to the fundraiser. There is PayPal, there is Venmo, there is Wise, there is Revolut, there is the Monobank jar. So if you go to the link in my bio, you will find all of the resources in there. So on my profile, there is a link in bio. And then if you are on YouTube, then it's pinned in the comments. And thank you very, 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 very much. First time I've been able to catch you live. Hi, I used to do lives because I stopped doing lives on YouTube for a while, and I've never done them on Instagram until yesterday. And now I've just figured that it's probably much more efficient if I have a live on like many different platforms. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh. I think we got another donation. You guys. Did we? I received an email, but maybe we didn't. Maybe my PayPal is still processing. Okay. Hi, Michael. And Motanka. Oh my gosh. I love that. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tridents. So that was you just now. So I can't see my full PayPal. 1 second. Thank you, Tridents. Okay, so it hasn't updated yet, but if something updates, I will let you know. The survey indicated that opposition to aid might be more prevalent among Republicans and Republican-leaning independent voters, standing at 48%, an increase from 44% in June, of course, because there have been... yes, I did get yours, Giddy. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was very generous. An increase from 44% in June. Of course, there's going to be an increase because the current Republican MAGA Putin caucus is doing everything they can in order to stop aid for Ukraine, because obviously when you're on Putin's payroll, that is not something that you want to be happening. So of course, it's not uncanny that these numbers are raising, because that's the goal. Among Democrats, about 4 out of 10, 39%, deemed the assistance as sufficient, while 16% disagreed. Moreover, 24% of Democrats advocated for an increase in aid to Ukraine. Sociologists highlighted a widening gap between the political parties concerning support for Ukraine. Initially, during the early stages of the conflict, Republicans were only marginally more inclined than Democrats to believe the U.S. was providing excessive aid, 9% versus 5%. No idea how to donate. So if you exit the live and you go to my profile, there is a link in under like my name and under the description on Instagram, under the description of what I do. There is like a link that's clickable, and one of them says donate here, and it'll bring you to a breakdown of all different ways you can donate. Thank you for asking that question. However, the recent survey indicated a significant shift, with Republicans now 32 percentage points more likely than Democrats to hold that belief, which again is not uncanny, because the Putin caucus and I'm not saying every Republican by any means. When I talk about the Putin Republicans, I talk about specifically the lawmakers and the people that believe them, who are pro-Russia and pro-Putin. I'm not saying that every Republican is. I want to make that distinction. I've met many Republicans that are pro-Ukrainian and that are actually not voting for the GOP in this election because they fully understand that the people that are in the party right now do not represent them. I doubt that the MAGA people represent most of you. But yes, so the Republicans of the Putin caucus or the current Republican lawmakers and majority had been doing everything possible in order to make that opinion stick and in order to make the aid for Ukraine not come through. And another $9.70. Thank you, Juju. Thank you so much, Robbie. $9.70.
Got it.
Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, they're definitely, obviously, the MAGA Republicans are paid by Russia. Temporarily occupied Makiyivka has seen a large fire after an explosion, and that was a fuel tanks that were hit. So you might have noticed that in the past couple of weeks and months, there have been a lot of hits in the occupied territories on Russian warehouses, on Russian fuel storage facilities, on Russian bases and stuff like that. It's the work of the Ukrainian intelligence. Basically, I went to your profile, but don't see donated here. Robbie, can I borrow your phone for a second?
Mhm.
Okay, sorry. I am, so if you are on Instagram, do you have Instagram? Yes, you do. Okay, if you are on Instagram, oh my gosh, it's way too much me. If you go on Instagram and you also, this is a phone case from Ukraine, and I am showing it to you. It's a really cool company, and I really like this little drawing. It's very cute. So if you go on my profile on Instagram right here, there is a thing that looks like links right here, and you press, and it says beacons.ai fundraiser and one more. So you press on it, and this little thing comes up that gives you two options. And so you go on to donate here, and it brings you to this breakdown that explains the fundraiser and gives you Monobank, PayPal, Revolut, and all of the other options that you can just copy paste into whatever payment method suits you. And yeah, that's what it is. And this case company is called Pump, and it's in Ukraine everywhere. And we love it. These are actually very quality cases, and I really like these little dinosaurs. Mine has a little unicorn, and it's pink, and I think it's kind of ridiculous. So that's why I got it. But yeah, so you might have noticed a lot of explosions in various occupied territories of Ukraine, and that is not for no reason. That is actually that is because Ukraine is trying to destroy all supply chains and supply warehouses that Russia has, because we have a disadvantage in numbers, and because the aid hasn't been flowing as productively as it could be. What we are trying to do is we are trying to cause Russian supply chain issues. And while we can't quite cut off their largest GLOC or supply line, which is the Crimea Bridge, or the Kerch Strait Bridge, which is its real name, for now, we're doing that by destroying all of their facilities everywhere else. The Czech magazine Reflex presented its proposed Olympic uniform design for Russian and Belarusian athletes. Amidst the ongoing atrocities committed by the Russian military, led by war criminal Putin, including the killing of Ukrainian civilians, kidnappings, essays, and torture, the International Olympic Committee made the controversial decision to allow Russians and Belarusians to compete in the Paris Olympics under a neutral flag. In response, the magazine expressed ironic approval, stipulating that the athletes should wear the collection they designed, assisted by artificial intelligence mid-journey. I'll show you this collection because it's actually, I really like the point they were trying to prove with this. So this is the uniform that they propose for neutral Russians to wear. So there is no such thing as neutral Russian athletes because most Russian athletes, just like in the USSR, Russia kept that sort of like tradition. Just like in the USSR, most Russian athletes are members of the military. And they're not just members of the military, they're high-ranking members of the military because in the USSR, they used to recruit athletes into the military because those are people with high discipline and those are people that are already trained for loyalty and for people that are trained to be loyal and people that are trained to conform and listen to orders. And so those make very, 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 very good, spies. Those are very good people to recruit into a barbaric military because they will abide by orders. That's what they've been trained to do their whole lives. And so just because these athletes are competing under a neutral flag does not mean that they in fact are neutral. In most cases, they really are not. And there is a ton of evidence to that. And in most cases, they are not only supporting the military and not only supporting the barbaric actions of their military, they're actively aiding and abetting it, and they're paying taxes. Also, I think we might have gotten another donation. We have $5.86. Thank you so much. Another $5.86.
Up to $4,650. Even Steven.
Even Steven, really? $4,650 even. That means we're $1,350 away from the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, we're like literally, yeah. Oh my gosh, we've surpassed 75%.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little over 75%. Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God. PayPal is not pirates. If you, when you send the transaction as friends and family, then they don't take a commission. That's the catch. Oh my gosh. Another $100. Oh my gosh. And it's actually a repeat offender. Well, not an offender, but a repeat
Frequent flyer.
A frequent flyer. Not frequent flyer, but a frequent philanthropist. If you do end up listening to the podcast, Robbie over here is the person who scripts the podcast, and he lately has taken a liking to writing these ridiculous things in the script. So they're like tongue twisters. They're funny, Another $10. Thank you.
Nice.
They're funny.
Or 80% there.
But there are basically things like, what is that? That
Prick of a provincial peasant and prick of a prestidigitator.
Yeah, provincial peasant and prick of a prestidigitator, and also Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban. Provincial peasant and prick of a prestidigitator. And I have to say that on live, on podcast, because that is literally his title now in how we call him. And you know what these things are? If you guessed antiquated curses and antiquated terms that nobody uses anymore and Rob has found through Schitt's Creek, then you will be correct. That is literally what it is.
And also look it up in archaic dictionaries.
He also looks it up in archaic dictionaries. So they're archaic insults from Schitt's Creek and archaic dictionaries. Yeah. So if you thought we do not put effort into not only bringing you good news, but also entertaining you while we're at it, because I actually did notice that if you bring in jokes where applicable into information, especially about heavy topics like that, it does help get through the information because you don't feel like so down and so drained afterwards. So that's why we try to do that. Okay, the Russian army carried out an artillery strike on Kupiansk and the Kharkiv region, resulting in tragic casualties, as reported by Oleg Syniehubov, the head of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration. Following the enemy shelling of Kupiansk, 2 women aged 57 and 71 lost their lives, and a 30-year-old man sustained injuries, stated Sinahubov. The attack occurred around 3:30 p.m., causing damage to a private house, garage, fence, and a summer kitchen in the area. Russia has been shelling, Kharkiv. So Kharkiv, the city, is 40 kilometers away from the Russian border. The way that air attacks happen in Kharkiv and most of the cities in Kharkiv region, especially in Kharkiv itself, is you basically do not have time to react to the. You do not have time to react to go to a shelter, because what happens is sometimes a missile hits and then the air alert rings. And sometimes the air alert rings and a missile hits 30 seconds to a minute later. So you literally have under a minute to get to a bomb shelter. And so in places like Kupiansk and Kharkiv, high casualty rates are usually reported because people simply do not have time to get to cover. Let me see. I need to post a link to to PayPal in YouTube comments, because I've been asked to do so. So no, here, Grumpy, the direct link to PayPal. That's what it is. And we have another $15 donation. Again, I don't know if I should be announcing the name, so I will be on the safe side and will not. But yeah, that's kind of like the reality of life. Actually, so I played this yesterday, but I'll play it again. A friend of mine sent me a telegram. Sent me a telegram. Sent me a recording of what the air alarm, of what it sounded like, not last night, but the night before that, outside of his window in Kharkiv. He lives in Kharkiv, and this is what was happening when Kharkiv was getting that insane amount of airstrikes. There were 6 explosions reported in one night, or rather there were 5 officially reported, but there are many people who report they have heard 6. So give me 1 second and I will play you what Kharkiv sounded like from an average person's window the night before last night. Here. That's what an average person in Kharkiv heard the night before last night. And that's life in Kharkiv almost every night. Heroyam Slava, and we got another $14.11. You guys. What if we close the fundraiser tonight? Hi, Mr. G. The announcement made by Russia to conduct presidential elections in the occupied territories of Ukraine, including Crimea and parts of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson regions, has drawn condemnation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, obviously. The Ukrainian Foreign Ministry has denounced these actions as a violation of international law principles, notably the UN Charter. Consequently, the agency has declared the election process illegal and null and void. The scheduled date for the Russian presidential election in these territories is March 17, 2024. First of all, Russian presidential elections are a charade. They're not real. They're not actually voting, and their votes don't matter. It's just a charade to show the people that they live in a democracy to show the world that it's a democracy. Meanwhile, the results of the election have been decided before the election has even begun. If Vladimir Putin is running, Vladimir Putin is winning. Although at this point, even if they did have free and fair elections, likely most of the country would have voted for him. He has an 82% approval rating based on independent Russian research, as independent as Russian research could be. So give it like, a few percent up and down sort of error. However, most of the people that did not support him left and fled and decided not to fight, because their lives to them matter more than ours, obviously. And they had a choice whether to put themselves in harm's way and potentially get harmed in trying to get their country in the right track. And we do not have a choice of whether we get harmed, because if we don't get harmed, we die. So we have a choice between dying and maybe dying. And they have a choice between maybe dying and doing nothing, or rather maybe getting harmed and doing nothing. And they choose to do nothing because their lives and their safety matters more to them than ours does, even though they are the reason that we are in this situation. They always have been. And their imperial upbringing and the imperialism that has been flowing through their culture and through their upbringing and education is the reason why we are where we are. And we are losing our best and brightest to defend our country. Also, I think we got another donation. Oh my gosh, we got another $100.
Nice.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if I should be announcing, who did that, but thank you very much. You know who you are. What are we?
4,890. Hang on. 4,889.
4,889?
Mm-hmm.
4,889. So we are almost
To 5,000.
thank you, Gord. We are almost at 5,000. What was it? 4,000?
4,889.
4,889. So we are like $111 away from it being 5,000. Can we get 5,000? Some people say 5,000 is really not that difficult to get. Some people, very important people, smart people.
The best people.
Some of the smartest people in the world. If you don't want to hear me speak like Donald Trump, you're gonna make that donation towards this fundraiser. I'm totally not blackmailing anyone, nor am I threatening anyone. But if you really don't want to hear this voice ever again, some people don't want to hear that. Very important people. Some people say that they're the smartest people in the world. Getting to 6K tonight would be awesome. I agree, Richard. I really, 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 really agree. And that would be freaking amazing, because then I could see, I wish I could call and, let the person know that we have raised that. But I feel like after my stint with Twitter, I really don't know if I should do that on air. Okay, President Zelensky is on his way to Argentina for the inauguration of the newly elected president, Javier Milei. I just called to say I raised the money. Jason wrote that. On the way to Argentina, he met with the Prime Minister of the Republic of Cape Verde. This meeting was the first in the history of bilateral relations between our countries. Thank you, Francisco, and hello. Germany should be ready to support Ukraine when aid from other countries ends, Scholz said. So he means the European countries like Slovakia was saying that, they can't support Ukraine any longer. Obviously, Hungary doesn't. And there are a couple of countries that are just simply running out of the ability to support Ukraine. For instance, the three countries that I really want to give one of the largest rounds of applause to is Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, because these countries have quite literally given Ukraine everything they can and continue giving Ukraine more. Because, if you look at the percentage of the aid given versus like their military, of their defense budget, you will be shook to how much they give. It's just that they don't have nearly as much as the US or other larger countries in the EU do. But Scholz finally stepped up, which is quite crazy. I didn't, I mean, at this point, Germany does understand the extent of the issue and the extent of the threat that Russia is to actually democratic world. Tridents against tyrants. Finland too. Finland has helped a lot. Yes, Finland has actually really stepped up recently as well. Finland has been phenomenal as well. But the three countries that from the very beginning have been very, 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 very avidly supporting Ukraine, advocating for Ukraine at all of the EU summits, and pushing to really explain to the EU the threat that Russia is have been Sweden. Have been Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. Let me see. I think we got another donation. Aw, thank you. Another repeat offender. $68. I don't want to announce the name, but $4,957.11. $4,957.11. You guys, this might be like the largest amount raised on live. No, not. No, almost. I think we did like 800 something in the first live for this fundraiser, but we're like getting there. We're almost crossing the threshold. You guys. Ukrainian experts have determined that the manufacturer of the Shahed drones, which we found out today that Shahed is Witness. How freaking creepy is it that Iran named its drones Witness? Shahed in Arabic means witness because it sees everything, even though it's a combat drone, not a reconnaissance drone. It's a kamikaze drone. It's so creepy. Thank you, radio. And wait, we just received another notification. $22.92. Save the live. Merry Christmas. Aw, thank you. Thank you very much. You guys. And it is really messed up, right? Like I think 22.92. I do think it's like incredibly we are at $4,560.03. $4,560.03. Yeah, I do think that that's really messed up. Rob actually, so he watched a video from Gaza and he heard somebody saying, like yelling Shahed, Shahed, Shahed many times in conversation. And he decided to look it up and we found out that it means witness. What will happen now? Republicans have stopped the aid. So, hi, Brian. Republicans haven't stopped the aid. They're negotiating because they want to implement draconian policies at the U.S.-Mexico border, and Democrats obviously will have to provide Ukraine with aid. So, well, I mean, in general, the U.S. will, this aid bill is going to have to happen because everybody understands the danger of it not happening. $10.97, Robbie. $10.97. Thank you. Everybody understands the danger of that. And basically what Republicans are doing is they're just blackmailing Democrats into letting them implement the awful policies that they want to implement. So that's that. They're just basically, Democrats are trying to negotiate down the amount of damage and Republicans are trying to negotiate up. And basically when the time completely runs out, one of them is going to have to let. So that's what it is. The Office of the Prosecutor General, responding to Suspilna's request, reported that expert examinations have confirmed the identification of Geran-2 UAVs as kamikaze drones of the Shahed 136 type, and another seized sample named Geran-1 as a kamikaze attack UAV, Shahed 131. These examinations pointed to the Iran aircraft manufacturing company HESA in the Islamic Republic of Iran as the developer and manufacturer of these UAVs. This revelation from law enforcement agencies marks potential involvement by Iran in the production of these unmanned aerial vehicles, providing significant insight into the origin of these drones used in attacks on Ukraine. I mean, it's good to have the official confirmation of it. But it's also not, nothing new. We knew that. We knew that for a while. I want to show you a video for why Bradleys are very, very essential to the battlefield in Ukraine. And I'm going to show it to you on this screen. Hopefully it'll be visible for everyone. Let me figure out how to like show it to you so that it doesn't get Oh. For some reason there is sound is missing on this video. Okay. Well, crap. And it's gonna be, you're not gonna see. So the camera doesn't reflect. So I'm gonna have to show it to you next time. I will prepare for this, but it's a very good video explaining why Bradleys are as important as they are on the battlefield. And I will show it to you next time because the sound is missing. And so you're reliant on subtitles. And because I have 3 screens, there is no way that I can figure that out by just like, reversing all of them. So I will figure it out for next time. And that concludes all the news I have for you for today. And we are basically $10 away from being at $5,000 for the fundraiser. So if anyone wants to contribute the $10, so we get to a nice little round amount, I will be very, very grateful. And for the next live, I will whip out the heavy artillery, which is Cinebucks, Christmas Cinebucks, the limited edition Cine Christmas bucks. Robbie, what was the final amount right now?
I have to go back and my phone messed up, but I think we might have hit 5,000.
I think we were at 4,000, like 991 or 2 or something like that. That's where it was. Show the doggo to guilt people into donating. I can show you 2 doggos to guilt you into donating. Where is sausage? No, the other sausage. Your sausage. Can you bring your sausage to show? Because here's the thing. What are Cinebucks? They are a faux currency designed by me that has Cine on Okay, Rebecca, he didn't mean harm. He was actually trying to harm Cine, not me.
Yeah, and that makes it okay.
See, Leopold is asking you to donate to the fundraiser so we can be. Wait, it's actually super funny, but I started doing this today and he kind of liked it at some point. Okay, he doesn't like it anymore. Fine, Leo. Fine. Do you have a sample from Lost Batch of Cinebucks? I do. Oh my gosh, wait. I think... Am I missing something? Wait, did I? Saw the live. Okay, so... let me see what time that was. 11:38. Okay, so plus 35.27. Thank you so much. And plus 35.27 and $5,032.84. And there might be Did I tell you 2292 before? Yeah. Okay, so we did put that in. Okay. Fine.
Wow.
Fine. I'm kidding. You guys, that's so cool. We're so close to the goal. Oh, check Revolut. Okay, I can't check Revolut at the moment because it's on the phone that I don't have it on the iPad. It's on the phone. On the phone that is literally right here. But I will check Twitter in like 30 minutes or so. I will make us dinner because I'm so hungry. And right after I do that, I will see he likes it. Right after I do that, I will update the tally on Twitter, and I will make sure to include all the Revolut as well. And thank you so much. See, he likes this. Okay, see, he doesn't mind it. Look at that. Look at that. It's actually so funny. Cindy would never let me do it. This dog is like moldable. Cindy would never. Come to Mastodon. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm also plus $20, Robbie, from Revolut. Ooh. There is people are asking to show Cindy. I'm sorry, like they do like Leo.
Wow.
Listen, they do like Leo. Everybody's saying he's adorable, but also Cindy has been the initial star of the show.
Come here, Papa.
And Leo did try to kill me the other day, so.
This is a lot of Leo bashing.
Yeah.
Since everyone hates him.
No one hates him.
Okay, let me get Cindy.
Yes, the true queen. Where are you on Blue Sky? So I don't know. I will look that up and I will also post that on Twitter. Okay, Leo didn't try to kill me. He tried to kill Cindy. And I got in between them. And so I have a tiny little bruise. Hi, Cindy. Hello, Baba. Leopold. Cindy would never let me do that thing with her cheeks. Wait, look. Oh. I was like, wait, is it working? But her cheeks are also like literally not like nearly as can you add it to your beacons? I think it might be on my beacons. Actually, I think my Mastodon might be on my beacons, not Blue Sky. I don't know. But I will. Yes, I will add it to my beacons. Right after dinner and right after right after dinner and right after I put the tally up on Twitter. Din, din, din. Oh my gosh! Thank you, Jason. Look at the Juba Juba. Juba Juba. Did Cindy get back in shape? Yes. Does it not look like she got back in shape? Look at her. She doesn't have like the muscle mass yet, but she does have But she's
on Weight Watchers. She's
yeah, she did lose the weight. See,
Yeah.
she's slim.
She's doing Slim Fast.
I love this dog more than I love a lot of people. I love you. You're such a spoiled creature. The freaking side eye she gave when I said you're such a spoiled creature. Yes, you have a very good life. Yes. I'm letting you go down. I'm letting you go down. Don't worry. And then we're gonna have dinner. Okay. Yeah. I know. You don't like to be. See, this is the thing. Leo loves to sit on your lap, and Leo just wants attention all the time. Cindy wants attention when she wants attention, and she wants it how she wants it. Okay, she doesn't want to be like smothered. She doesn't like it. Okay. Leo is very jealous. He's like right here, literally right there. Alrighty, you guys. Well, thank you for, oh my gosh, I can't, well, thank you very, 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 very much. I really appreciate you guys almost closing the fundraiser. This is insane. Cindy appreciates it. Leo, I don't know if he knows what's going on. and I will demonstrate you Cinebucks tomorrow, and I will demonstrate you the new and improved Christmas Cinebucks. And Mashbook, oh my gosh, please like whiplash me or something. I still need to send you the Cinebook. it's on my computer and I keep freaking I need to look up the file that I have saved and I need to open it. And with the ADHD, it is I okay. Since I'm gonna have to introduce the Christmas Cinebucks tomorrow, I will certainly remember to okay, Taz. That is blasphemy. Okay, you guys, good night. How about a dog treat? Yes. How about yes? That's yes. She got a dog treat. Alrighty, guys. I will see you tomorrow. And oh my gosh, we are so close to the goal. I'm so excited. Ow, 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 Sinona, ow. Okay, my foot fell asleep, lady. Robbie, can I ask you to? It's just very uncomfortable position for me to put her on the. Yes, thank you so much.
Oh,
Yeah, it's because my
Come
my
here,
leg is
Sinona.
so asleep.
Sinona,
oh,
sorry,
your hands
I'm
are so.
Sonona Ryder, come on.
Oh my god, he just washed his hands and his hands were so cold. All right, guys. Oh my god, how close to the goal? We are at.
We're like 82% there.
We're okay. We're at 5,060. Yeah, like 5,060 or 30. I will put it on Twitter and like, just let me have dinner and I will put it on Twitter. But very close to the goal. Like, I mean, we're like less than $1,000 away. We're over $5,000, which is insane, you guys. You guys are fantastic. Okay, bye. See you later. Bye.